Ken Shapcott is one of Burnley Cricket Club's best-known fans, but I'm sure he'll be the first to admit he does have an affinity and a bit of a soft spot for Lowerhouse as well. Known to everybody who's watched Lancashire League cricket, Ken's now going to share a few of his Lowerhouse memories with us.
One of my earlier recollections of local derby matches, Edward, was at Lowerhouse in 1958 in a Worsley Cup game. The rules at that time stated that if a team knocked 130 for less than 3 wickets, they had to suspend their innings. Lowerhouse batted first and knocked 130 for 2, and when they suspended their innings, little did they imagine the carnage that was to follow. That same afternoon and 3 sun-drenched evenings, Burnley, and in particular the Burnley West Indian professional Collie Smith, amassed a colossal total of more than 530 runs for the loss of 9 wickets before declaring. Collie Smith's innings was the highest and almost certainly the greatest innings in Lancashire League history, 306 not out. You couldn't hit sixes at Lowerhouse in those days, even if the ball went as far as Rose Grove railway station, which it nearly did on some occasions. Smith was awesome, and I, as a young 12-year-old, along with Lowerhouse supporter David Ashworth, were on full-time duty climbing out of the ground to throw the lost balls back. David and I are still supporting our respective teams, and he constantly reminds me that Burnley unnecessarily ground the Lowerhouse noses into the dust. When Lowerhouse resumed their innings, they not surprisingly were all out for little more than 200, a thoroughly demoralised outfit. What a pity Collie Smith was to die in a car crash a few months later. However, times have changed. Lowerhouse have finished above Burnley in the league now for the last 10 seasons. The fiercely competitive derby games, the wonderful banter between supporters, have contributed immensely to my enjoyment of watching the Lancashire League. Although I am a Burnley supporter, Lowerhouse Cricket Club means a lot to me, and I am going to do my utmost to help Lowerhouse and to continue my visits to their ground, where a couple of pints on the Lowerhouse steps and the running battles between myself and Brian Morehouse and co. are to me the best value entertainment in the world.
Among Lowerhouse's many supporters is local independent councillor Harry Brooks. Harry's been watching Lancashire League cricket for several decades now and has many, many memories. Would you like to share some of your memories of Lowerhouse with us?
Well, there's really so much, Edward, but I think what stands out most vividly in my memory is the end of the 1991 season. Manoj Prabhakar, a professional, was a very gifted Indian test all-rounder who hadn't really delivered his potential and hadn't fitted in well in the dressing room. We weren't too disappointed when he cried off for the last half dozen games claiming injury, but I was left with the job of finding substitute professionals for the rest of the season. As it turned out, we had a great run, winning 5 of those last 6 games, and 2 of them I'll never forget. Going in reverse order, we had David Capel, the Northampton England all-rounder, for the last game of the season at Nelson. And they'd been championship contenders for most of the season. And they destroyed us at Lowerhouse earlier in the summer. Now, Capel had been spoken of not long before as the natural successor to Ian Bertham, and he certainly didn't disappoint us. Nelson could only muster 139 for 8, and Capel took 5 for 46, including the wicket of Colin Heap, the Nelson opener, who was caught at slip off his glove and for good measure taken off to hospital with a broken hand. When we batted, Capel went in at 11 for 3 and plastered the Nelson bowlers, including Joe Scuderi, all over Seedale for a brilliant quick-fire 78. We won by 6 wickets, and to cap it all, Capel, a real gent, gave all his £50 collection to the amateurs to celebrate the victory with. It was a glorious end to the season. And the other game was a win against a very strong East Lancs side at Lowerhouse a couple of weeks before, and it featured what could have been perhaps the best ever all-round performance for Lowerhouse. The sub-pro was Robert Haynes, a giant young Jamaican who was playing for Morecambe in the Northern League. East Lancs clocked up 189, and Haynes took 7 for 59 with his leg spinners and had a share in 3 run-out victims, so he was involved in every wicket. Our reply was steady but too slow, and when Haynes went in with 3 wickets down, we still needed 104 runs from 19 overs. He gave the best display of clean hitting I've ever seen, and we won with 8 overs to spare. Robert made 91 not out and finished the game with a huge 6 off Paul Rifle, who's been such a success for Australia in international cricket. Haynes strolled off in the sunshine as though he'd just been for a gentle afternoon walk, with the Lowerhouse supporters chanting "Hero" and "Sign him on." Unfortunately, we didn't, but those who were there that day will, I'm sure, never forget his performance. There was a double irony about it all. Haynes had sub-pro for East Lancs in the Worsley Cup final a couple of weeks before, and he'd had a poor game as they lost to Enfield. And he wouldn't have played at all against East Lancs if I'd managed to fix up Sachin Tendulkar, who was on holiday in Lancashire at the time, as our substitute professional.
Among Lowerhouse Cricket Club's more colourful supporters is Brian Morehouse. Anyone who's ever been to a game at the West End ground will certainly know who Brian is. He certainly makes his presence felt while the House are playing. Over the years he's collected many happy memories of watching the team in action, and I'm sure he'll entertain us all by telling us them now.
Now, memories are memories, all to be treasured. Our favourite memory was at the end of the season, we went on a cricket club day out to Blackpool, end of season trip. Now then, unknown to me, there was another trip from Burnley from the post office. And it so happened we had a good day out, a really good day out, plenty of beer, plenty of singing, making our way back to Princess Street car park. And underneath the railway bridge, there was this body led in the gutter. I got nearer to it and I said to Fred Bates, I said, that looks a bit like Ronnie Berry. So we turned him over, and Ronnie Berry was a post office worker. And he was been on the post office trip. So we picked him up. I said, come on, we'll take him back, put him on his coach. We got to the coach station, only our coach on. So I said to Fred, I said, come on, let's get him on our bus. I'll take him home. He only lives around the corner from me. So I ripped him off the bus, still hadn't come round, still flat out, full of beer. Walked him up Rosdale Avenue, got to his cottage door, knocked on the door, no light, 3 o'clock in the morning. No light whatsoever, no answer. Banged and banged and banged again, went through his pocket looking for his household key. Could not find one. All of a sudden, the lady next door in the next cottage, bedroom window open. What's going on down there? Oh, I said, hello, Mrs. Robson. I said, I've just brought Bonnie back from Blackpool. I said, I can't get him in. She says, you won't be able to do. He went with his mother this morning for a week.